Hello and welcome to this week's IG Live. Today we are going to be talking to author Paola Santos. She's going to be telling us about her new book, How to Eat a Mango, also out in Spanish, Cómo se come un mango. And we are going to be talking to her about the book and kind of her journey of becoming an author. Hello, get her on here for you. We come here every Thursday. 11 a.m. in the Pacific, and we try to come to you and help raise your awareness about new books that are out, authors, illustrators of diverse children's books. Hello.
Hi, just give me a sec. I'm
Oh,
trying
no
to figure
problem.
this out. It is my first time with the Instagram
Oh,
Live, so I have no idea how this works. So
this is
sorry.
great. You're doing great. Thank you so much for being here. Well, I'm
No,
honored that we're your first one.
but yes, thank you for inviting me and for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your support. I've seen all of your support for us and for other diverse authors that are out there. So we appreciate what you do, and I'm excited about your new book. Why don't we jump right in? You can introduce yourself and tell us what your journey was to becoming an author.
Thank you. Well, I'm Paola Santos. I'm the author of How to Eat a Mango, and it's a Spanish version, Cómo se come un mango. Beautiful, beautiful books illustrated by the amazing, super talented Juliana Perdomo. And it is published by Holiday House, Neil Porter Books. It was just released this past week, and it has been amazing. So it's my debut picture book. And well, my journey to becoming an author. You know, when I was a kid, I always wanted to write, but it never occurred to me that I could be an author.
Mm.
You know, I had that feeling that I'm a writer. Yes, I'm gonna. I kind of put together a folder with nice paper. I wrote a poem. I was a kid, maybe 7 years old, something like that, and that's it. I don't remember anything else. I don't know where the folder was after that. I don't know what happened, but I knew I was a writer, but I never wrote anything, and I was always wondering, okay, so why I feel like I'm a writer and I don't write anything. So it was weird, very odd, and well, I'm from Venezuela. I was born and raised here, there in Venezuela. And when I moved to Canada, kind of, I started thinking about writing again, but it was very difficult because I studied literature. I can kind of have a very good sense of my language, Spanish. But when I moved here, I had very basic English. You know, how are you? Good morning. My name is Paola, and that's it. So it was very, very frustrated from me just to come in here and not to have that knowledge, that fluency that other people uh, have, you know? It was very hard. So, and just the idea of writing in Spanish was hard for me, and in English was a lot worse. It was kind of a um, unattainable dream, you know? So at some point, I thought, you know, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to do this. And in 2015, I started writing in Spanish first, tons of poems, and it was it was amazing. It was, I don't know how many notebooks I wrote in 6 months. It was amazing. So I started writing picture books, small short stories in Spanish, and then kind of very little by little started switching to English. And I decided, okay, I'm gonna try to learn more about craft. And I started just participating with some courses, critique groups, and I was very lucky to be participating into mentorship programs, Las Musas, and we need diverse books. And it was a long journey, a journey that took me maybe 9 years in total. And well, I'm here. I cannot believe I'm here with a book and talking to you. This is a dream come true. So yeah.
Well, I'm curious. So you said when you first started writing, you were writing in Spanish. How about now? When, like, say for this book, did you write it? You did both versions, right? The English and the Spanish?
No,
No?
no,
Oh,
I wrote it in English.
okay.
And Holiday House, well, they offered me if I wanted to do the translation, to do the translation, but I was busy. I was trying to write some other manuscripts, and I know that if I tried to write the story in Spanish, it was gonna be a nightmare because I was gonna my writing is very lyrical, and it has a lot of music when you read it out loud. So I was, if I did a translation, I was gonna try to do the same in Spanish. And sometimes you cannot do it. You cannot translate that music. So I said, if you have a translator, go ahead. And she did an amazing job. It's amazing, beautiful, beautiful, the translation, yes.
And where did you get the inspiration for the book from?
Well, the inspiration is my own experience. When I was a kid, my grandma, my abuelita, made me clean up all the mangoes that smashed onto the ground, and we had 4 mango trees. So you can imagine there were a lot of mangoes on the ground, and sometimes they rot, and the smell was horrible, horrible, terrible, and I hated them. I hated to do that. It was horrible. But at the same time, while I was thinking about the idea, I I think that the first memory I had was my grandma eating the mango, and after that came the feeling of the smell of the rotten mangoes, all that kind of stuff that came to that. But my first thought was my abuelita eating the mango, and it was like watching a poem because she was always humming, and she was using her hands, no knife, and her teeth, and you can see all the juices running down her arms. And I sat there in front of her just thinking, holy, I wish I could just love mangoes because that was amazing. But well, I was a child and I didn't try.
I think that's one of the things I love about this book is that you didn't like them as a kid. You kind of changed how you feel about them now. Now that you're older, and I think that's something kids can maybe learn about. What do you hope they take away from this in terms of being open to trying new things or being open to changing your mind about how you feel about something, especially as a parent? I think, kids can be so picky about what foods they like and they don't like. And this book kind of teaches you, well, maybe you could think about it a different way.
Absolutely. I've read this book to my daughter. She's 5 years old. And it was very funny because she was trying to do the same. I had a mango in my hand, and she was repeating the book. She knows the book by heart, and she was saying the words while trying to peel the mango. And I was just so good. And I hope it's gonna be doing that for other kids, not just about mangoes, about everything. Because sometimes it takes a while for a person just to try new things. To be honest, I really like mangoes because I needed to do some research for this book. I had to go and eat a mango. I thought I cannot write this mango without eating one. so, so I started doing exactly the same as I described in the book. And I thought, wow, and I missed all this, all these years. And I hope not just kids, but any reader, adults, parents, they will kind of feel that with the book, that you can give it a chance because you don't know, you can love it. So
Right. Yeah, I love that. And I also love that it talks about the relationship between Carmencita and her grandmother. Why did you decide to make that kind of the center of the story?
well, it was for me it was a logical decision because it was a story about my grandma, my own abuelita. So she was part of the story. There is no story without her in it, you know. And Venezuela, like I think all Latin American countries, it's a very matriarchal center uh, countries. Abuelas and las mamás are the center of our homes.
Right.
So for me, it was my abuelita was the center of my home, and everything just kind of was around them, around my mom and my grandma. So it was logical for me to do it about my relationship with her, and I think I'm very grateful because it's not very usual that you have the chance to meet the elderly in your family, just not to meet them, but just to share a relationship with them,
Right.
you know, just to sit there and hear their stories and what they think, just to kind of um, fill yourself with their wisdom.
Mm, that's so beautiful. And I think you're right. Culturally, that's that there might be some families that have that here, like in the US or Canada, but in Latin America, like you said, it's much more common. We just came back from visiting my husband's family in Costa Rica, and really everything revolves around the grandmother. Either, she lives with one family, everybody else lives close by, and everybody always gathers at her house. And even when they come to visit us, they always refer to it as my house.
Oh,
Not my house,
absolutely.
it's my house, it's my kitchen. And at first that threw me off, but that's how it is. Like you said, the mom and the grandma, they're always the center of the household. And but to go back to when you were talking about just how you describe her eating the mango, it's such a lesson in mindfulness, I think, and kind of having kids pay attention to each of their senses, because you go through, it's not just about tasting it, it's feeling it, and all of that. So tell us, what was your thought at the time behind how you kind of went through that in the book?
It's very funny because I've been reading the reviews of the book, and they started mentioning mindfulness, and I never had that word in my mind while I was writing the book. But I'm a big fan of mindfulness.
Mm.
Since I was a kid, I never knew the word when I was a child, but it was in my nature. I'm a very quiet person, and I really like to sit down and enjoy solitude and silence and everything around me. And I just put it in my writing and in my book without thinking about it. But for me, it was just thinking about kids to slow down and just feel everything around them, and for them not to take for granted what they have, because that happened all the time. That happened to me. I had that experience when I was a child, and I was a witness of my grandma eating that wonderful fruit, and just thinking about how beautiful it was. But I never really tried to enjoy the same
Mm.
the same fruit, the fruit. So I wish I could just go back and tell myself, try it and enjoy it and have fun. And that's what I try to convey with this book. Just slow down, look around you, enjoy the things you have, the things that makes you you, that makes you wonderful and beautiful, and enjoy it right now in this moment. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
I think that's such a powerful message, especially today. I mean, I think that's always, we've always been like kind of a rush society, but especially now when kids, so much of their life is virtual and everything is so fast paced and we're always kind of speeding things up, and to have them slow down and appreciate, especially because it's so physical, you know, whereas they have to really pay attention to what's around them. Of course, part of it is appreciating nature and the gifts of nature.
Yeah.
So why did you want to make that such a big focus of the book?
Well, it was for me when I was a child. I Even though I didn't like mangoes, the food as per se, I always enjoy just to sit down on my hammock underneath the mango tree and just listen to the breeze going through the branches, and it was my perfect spot. You know, when I was just there thinking about what is the tree trying to tell me? If the tree could talk, what it will say to me, you know? It was my game. That was part of my games when I was a child. So for me, nature it's a force. It's part of us, and we are part of nature. We are one, and that's I think that the structure of the book is what I'm trying to tell, because I'm describing one sense, one of the senses, you know, or sight or taste or whatever, and at the same time, Carmencita is kind of relating that sense to her own life, and that's the meaning behind this kind of a structure, just to show that your life and nature is just the same. It's one. For me, nature it's everything.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a question about kind of taking a step back and looking over your life as an author. As you said, you always thought of yourself as a writer, but you didn't really start writing seriously until you had moved to Canada. And you said that a lot of it is kind of this nostalgia for your childhood in Venezuela. So I'm wondering, do you think that how has that affected how you write? Do you think your writing would be different if you had stayed in Venezuela? Do you think you'd be writing a different kind of story, or do you think it just would have maybe happened at a different time?
That's a good question. I think it will be a different kind of writing, definitely, because when you have that experience, it's an experience of separation of something that you love. You you kind of you become conscious of what you have lost, and grateful at the same time, and all that feelings kind of go back to that nostalgia, that those things that you wish you could have back again in your life. If I if it were a different kind of experience, maybe I'm still in Venezuela or something like that, I wouldn't experience the same. I probably have taken for granted everything I had, or I had in that moment, and maybe I was going to be a writer, but a different kind of writer. Yeah, without that sense of gratefulness, because once you feel that separation, you kind of understand that everything can change again. That you are here, but maybe in 1 year you are not going to be here anymore. You are going to be somewhere else. And you kind of appreciate what you have in that specific moment. And that's what I think happened to me. It's to be here, to be far from my country and my family and the people I knew. It has been hard, but But at the same time, it makes me realize how much I love all that thing.
Well, I love that you've been able to take that experience and turn it into such a wonderful book. For those that are just joining us, of course, we've been talking about how to eat a mango, como se come un mango, but I know you have other projects coming out. Would you like to talk a little bit about those before we go?
Sure. Well, I have a picture book. It's going to be released in the fall 2026. It's still a little bit, far. you know, in publishing everything is very slow. So it was supposed to be next year, but well, things happened. And it is called A House in My Barrio, and it's not similar, but it has the same cultural feeling. It's set in Venezuela again, inevitably. And I have an unannounced project that, fingers crossed, it's going to be released 2027. We'll see. And some submissions with other manuscripts, and at the same time I'm writing. And yeah, it has been a busy few months for me.
Sure. And are they all going to also be picture books? I know you said the next one was, is that kind of what you're going to stay with?
For now, yes, I think so. I have some middle grade projects in my mind.
Mm.
But it's hard in English. I have to tell you, it is not easy.
I can't imagine. I mean, writing is so hard on its own, but to do it in a second language, that's amazing.
It is. Oh my goodness, it is. So I'm kind of trying to find my confidence just to go and start writing a middle grade. My goodness, it's a big project for me.
Right.
So I need to feel, I still feel I'm starting here. So I need to have more experience to feel more at ease with what I'm doing, and then I will go. I will feel it when it's the right moment. I don't know.
Well,
Hopefully.
I'll look forward to that and to your other projects that are coming out. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. It was such a
Thank
treat.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And well, I'll see you. I'll see you around. Thank you.
Yes, thanks everybody. And if you joined us late, this will be up in just a few minutes on Instagram and later on our YouTube channel. Bye everybody. Bye, Paula.